Hello dear viewers of thought-2v. Located about 150 million kilometers from Earth, the Sun plays a decisive role for life on our planet. Even a small change from the Sun could cause major troubles for us. So have you ever wondered what would happen to life on Earth if the Sun were twice as large, as small as Earth, or disappeared? In today's video, thought-2v invites you to find answers to these hypothetical questions. Let's explore together. The Sun is the only star in the solar system, with an average diameter of about 1,392,000 kilometers, approximately 109 times Earth's diameter. It is the largest celestial body in the solar system, capable of holding about 1.3 million Earths inside. Additionally, it is also the most massive celestial body, about 1.3 million times more massive than Earth. With this mass, it accounts for about 99.86% of the total mass of the solar system. Therefore, its gravitational force is extremely large, causing most celestial bodies in the system, including Earth, to orbit it. It is estimated that every second, the Sun burns about 420 million tons of hydrogen to form 416 million tons of helium through nuclear fusion in its core. As a result, every second, 4 million tons of matter are converted into energy, turning the Sun into a blazing fireball. The temperature at its core is about 15 million degrees Celsius, while the surface temperature is about 5,500 degrees Celsius. Fortunately, Earth lies within the Sun's habitable zone, so water exists in liquid form, promoting the development of life. So in hypothetical scenarios, if the Sun suddenly doubled in size, became as small as Earth, or disappeared, what would happen to Earth? Let's find out together. What happens when the Sun doubles in size? Suppose one day, the Sun becomes twice as large. What happens when the Sun doubles in size? If one day, the Sun were twice its current size, with a diameter of about 2,784,000 kilometers, what would happen to Earth? As its size increases, fusion reactions in the core also increase, converting 8 million tons of matter into energy per second instead of the current 4 million tons. As a result, it generates a tremendous amount of heat. However, we on Earth would only witness this about over 8 minutes after the Sun doubles in size. At that time, a giant sun would appear in the sky, twice the size as before. Accompanying it would be horrific heat causing oceans to evaporate, polar ice to melt, trees to die en masse, and widespread forest fires. This would be the final moment for life on Earth. Earth's atmosphere could quickly be blown away, turning the blue planet into a hellscape. If humans predicted this in advance, they could build shelters to avoid the sun's heat. Humans might prolong survival for a short time. But as seawater boils, forests die en masse, and the atmosphere is blown away, those shelters would become useless. That could be the worst scenario for Earth if the Sun doubled in size. Additionally, due to the Sun's increased mass, its gravity would pull planets out of their current orbits. Inner planets like Mercury and Venus could be pulled in, and if their orbits get too close, they would be torn apart and explode, creating rings of matter around the Sun. As for Earth, its orbit would also be pulled closer. Earth might not suffer the same fate as Mercury and Venus immediately, but it would become tidally locked to the Sun. And in the distant future, it would meet a similar end. After the orbital disruption of planets due to the Sun doubling in size, the remaining planets would gradually stabilize with new orbits. Earth's habitable zone would shift outward, and Saturn. After the Sun doubles in size. If humans moved there before this happens, we might preserve our species. Of course, this is just hypothetical, as it would take a very long time for the Sun to double in size. According to theories of star formation and evolution, in about 5 to 7 billion years, the Sun will begin burning hydrogen in its outer shell. At that time, the shell will rapidly expand, turning it into a red giant star. Then, the Sun would not only double in size but could expand many times its current size. Its radius could reach today's Earth orbit. That means the Sun's radius would be about 150 million kilometers, over 200 times its current radius. Of course, before that happens, life on Earth would no longer exist. Unless humanity finds another suitable planet to migrate to. If one day the Sun suddenly shrank to Earth's size, it would certainly have a huge impact on Earth's size. It probably wouldn't. Because as we know, to maintain nuclear fusion in its core, a star needs sufficient size and mass. Therefore, shrinking the Sun to Earth's size seems impossible. Perhaps it would become a neutron star or white dwarf. If that happened suddenly, after about 8 minutes and 19 seconds, Earth would begin to feel the change. Orbits wouldn't. They would still orbit the tiny Sun's size is too small, the light emitted wouldn't. Right, on Earth, we wouldn't. At that point, the sun would only shine like a normal star. Earth would be completely plunged into darkness. When observing the sky then, other stars would hardly change. We just wouldn't see the sun, moon, and other planets in the solar system. Constellations and other stars would remain the same. Of course, when darkness envelops us, Earth would gradually freeze. Life would be wiped out in a short time. And if the sun shrank to Earth's size and its mass also decreased, meaning the sun's gravitational force would become extremely weak, then, the scenario would probably resemble the sun disappearing. Now let's explore how that scenario would unfold. What happens when the sun disappears? When the sun suddenly disappears, Earth and other planets would no longer be illuminated. The sun's enormous gravitational force would also vanish. At that moment, the entire solar system would be plunged into darkness. The planets would no longer be bound by gravity. They would fly in straight lines due to inertia. Earth could reach a speed of 30 kilometers per second and drift aimlessly through space. At that point, life on Earth wouldn't be destroyed immediately, but terrible days would gradually come. After about a week, the temperature would drop to 0 degrees Celsius and to minus 100 degrees Celsius within about a year. Most bacteria would die within days. But some bacteria could still survive deep underground. Humans could only survive under these harsh conditions by hiding near hydrothermal vents at the ocean floor. With the sun gone, plants couldn't photosynthesize and would die within days or weeks. Some large trees might store enough sugar to convert into energy, allowing them to live in darkness for many years. Then, scavenging animals might live a bit longer, but would eventually die too. 2 months after the sun disappears, the entire ocean surface would freeze. Some marine creatures living at the bottom could still sustain life. More than a year after the sun disappears, Earth's temperature would drop to minus 240 degrees Celsius, and the air would freeze. It would lose its ability to block cosmic radiation. But since Earth still retains some heat, some organisms living at the ocean floor or near hydrothermal vents could sustain life for billions of years, and Earth would drift through the universe, carrying these survivors. Who knows, one day during its journey, Earth might luckily fall into a star's orbit. Then, the ice would melt, and life on Earth could be revived. Yes, that's all we can imagine about the worst day happening to the sun. Just hypothetical, it won. However, Mr. Yen believes that the destruction of nature is not the most frightening thing. The current concern is that we do not yet know how to protect our living environment sustainably. For economic benefits, humans are causing serious damage to nature. Over the years, the greenhouse effect has always been at an alarming level, causing the Earth to heat up increasingly. Ice sheets melting faster, green trees being cut down, and natural rivers being blocked. All are caused by human hands. These very things harbor the risk that one day, life on Earth will be destroyed by humans themselves. Through today's video, Mr. Yen wants to remind everyone to raise their awareness of environmental protection. Even through small actions like not littering indiscriminately, planting more trees, prioritizing the use of clean energy, saving natural resources, utilizing sunlight instead of electricity, etc. Your actions today will determine a sustainable living environment in the future. So today, thought-2V and you have together decoded the question about what would happen if the sun were twice as big, shrunk to the size of Earth, or suddenly disappeared. Wishing you an enjoyable video viewing. Now, please continue to choose the video on the left or right side of the screen to explore more mysteries of the universe with thought-2V. See you again in the next videos. Goodbye.